All right, so get those tasting notes ready, everyone, because today we are diving deep into a wine region that might just surprise you.
Oh, yeah.
Nashik, India.
Interesting.
Yeah, so we've got a whole stack of research here, articles all about Nashik's booming wine scene. And I know you guys are all about gaining knowledge quickly, so
Absolutely.
buckle up. This is going to be fun.
It's certainly a region that challenges expectations.
Exactly. It's not every day you hear about a tropical wine region that rivals California's Napa Valley,
Right.
which is why they
Yeah.
call Nashik the Napa Valley of India.
I see.
I mean, India and wine, that's not the first pairing that springs to mind.
Yeah, it might seem unexpected, but Nashik has a history of grape growing.
Okay.
It was actually known as India's grape capital
For table grapes.
for table grapes, exactly.
They already had the expertise,
Right.
just for a different kind of grape.
Exactly.
But wouldn't the climate be a huge hurdle?
Mhm.
I mean, India's got those intense monsoons and scorching temperatures.
Yeah.
It's not exactly ideal for delicate wine grapes.
You're absolutely right. The climate is a major challenge. It's a constant balancing act for the winemakers.
Oh, wow.
But that's where Nashik's secret weapon comes in.
Okay.
Elevation.
Ah,
The region sits at an average of 700 meters above sea level,
wow.
which creates these cooler microclimates
I see.
that are perfect for grape cultivation.
Nature's air conditioning.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah.
But even with the elevation advantage, I'm guessing there's still a lot of variation within the region itself.
Nashik's terroir is incredibly diverse.
Okay.
You have Dindori, for example,
Okay.
which is known for its bold red wines like Cabernet Sauvignon and Merlot.
Interesting.
It's got this basalt-rich soil that gives the wines a unique structure and depth.
So we're talking about those big, powerful reds.
Exactly.
Interesting. What about the other side of the spectrum?
Yeah.
The white wines.
For that, you'd head to Igatpuri.
Igatpuri.
It's cooler and wetter than Dindori,
Okay.
which makes it ideal for white varietals like Chenin Blanc and Chardonnay. These wines tend to be lighter and crisper, reflecting the cooler climate.
So we've got our bold reds in Dindori and our crisp whites in Igatpuri.
Right.
That's a pretty good start for a region that most people wouldn't even associate with wine.
And there's one more grape that's making waves in Nashik,
Oh, yeah.
Shiraz. Both the international and indigenous varieties thrive here.
Hold on. Indigenous Shiraz? I didn't even know India had its own Shiraz grape.
Yeah, it's a fascinating story. While the international Shiraz is what most people are familiar with, India has a long history with its own Shiraz varietal.
Really?
It's been cultivated here for centuries, maybe even millennia.
And that's something I'd love to try.
Yeah,
A taste of history in a glass. But let's get back to the winemakers for a second.
sure.
I'm guessing they're not just relying on the climate and the grapes themselves, right? And they're probably incorporating some interesting techniques, too.
Absolutely. Nashik's winemakers are a blend of tradition and innovation.
Okay.
Some are embracing those age-old methods, fermenting in concrete tanks, which adds this wonderful texture and complexity to the wine.
It's like they're honoring the past while still pushing the boundaries of winemaking.
Yeah.
Love that.
Yeah.
What about the more modern techniques?
Oh, they're definitely embracing those as well.
Okay.
You'll find state-of-the-art stainless steel tanks for temperature-controlled fermentation and even experimentation with different types of oak for aging.
Wow.
It's this willingness to try new things that's really setting Nashik apart.
This is reminding me of something I read about Nashik.
Yeah.
Sulafest.
Oh, yeah.
It's this big music and wine festival that happens every year, right?
Yeah.
It seems like more than just your average wine tasting event.
It definitely is.
Yeah.
Sulafest is a celebration of Nashik's wine culture, but it's also a reflection of the region's energy and vibrancy.
Wow.
They've got live music art installations, gourmet food stalls. It's a full-on sensory experience.
So it's like a mini Coachella for wine lovers with a touch of Indian flair. That sounds incredible.
It really captures the spirit of Nashik.
I have to ask, is it fair to compare Nashik to Napa? Is the Napa Valley of India just a catchy nickname, or is there a deeper connection there?
I think it goes beyond just a simple comparison.
Okay.
Both regions have transformed themselves through wine. Napa was once known for prunes and walnuts,
Oh,
and now it's a world-renowned wine destination.
right.
Nashik, which was historically known for table grapes, is now emerging as a major player on the global wine scene.
So it's about that shared journey of innovation, passion, and a commitment to creating something exceptional. But Nashik is carving its own path creating wines that are uniquely Indian. It's like a new chapter in the world of wine is being written right before our eyes.
Exactly. It's an exciting time to be exploring Indian wine.
Speaking of exploring, we've been laser focused on the wine itself,
Right.
but Nashik has a lot more to offer than just vineyards.
Oh, yeah.
Let's shift gears a bit and dive into the broader appeal of Nashik.
Okay.
What else does this region have in store for the curious traveler?
You're right. There's so much more to Nashik than just the wine. It's a region steeped in history, spirituality, and natural beauty.
Okay, so we've had our wine tasting now. Let's talk about the cultural side of things. What kind of historical treasures are we talking about here?
Well, for starters, Nashik is one of the 4 cities that hosts the Kumbh Mela.
Wait, the Kumbh Mela. Isn't that one of the largest gatherings of people on the planet?
It is millions of pilgrims from all over India and the world come to Nashik to bathe in the sacred Godavari River during the Kumbh Mela. It's an incredible display of faith and tradition.
That's mind-blowing. So we've got this ancient ritual, a sacred river. What else does Nashik have to offer in terms of history?
Nashik is also home to some fascinating cave temples. The Pandavalani Caves, for example, are a complex of 24 Buddhist cave temples
Wow.
that were carved into the hillside centuries ago. They feature intricate sculptures and paintings that are really remarkable.
I can only imagine what it must be like to stand inside one of those caves surrounded by history and art, it sounds like, stepping back in time.
It really is. And for those who enjoy exploring the outdoors, Nashik's landscape is incredible. Rolling hills, vineyards, as far as the eye can see. It's a beautiful place to hike or just enjoy the scenery.
So Nashik really does seem to have it all. World-class wine, ancient history, vibrant culture, and stunning natural beauty. No wonder it's becoming such a popular destination. But I want to go back to the wine for a moment, specifically that indigenous Shiraz you mentioned earlier. What makes it so special?
It's a question that winemakers and enthusiasts alike are exploring right now. While both the international and indigenous Shiraz grapes thrive in Nashik, the wines they produce have distinct characteristics.
Okay, so break it down for me. What should I expect if I were to do a side-by-side tasting of these two Shiraz wines?
The international Shiraz will likely have those classic Shiraz notes. You might be familiar with ripe blackberries, plums, a hint of spice.
Yeah.
But with the influence of the Nashik terroir, you'll probably notice a unique minerality and earthy quality that's not as common in Shiraz from other regions.
It's interesting how the same grape can express itself so differently depending on where it's grown. What about the indigenous Shiraz? What kind of flavors and aromas should I be looking for?
The indigenous Shiraz, on the other hand, offers a taste of India's viticultural history. It tends to have a slightly lighter body than the international Shiraz.
Okay.
With a bit more vibrancy, the aromas are really interesting, often a mix of floral notes, bright red fruits, and some unique spice notes that you wouldn't find anywhere else.
It sounds like a wine that reflects the region itself, complex, vibrant, and full of surprises. But it's not just about the grapes, right? The winemaking techniques must also play a role in shaping the final product.
Absolutely. Nashik's winemakers are blending tradition and innovation in fascinating ways. Take the use of concrete tanks for fermentation, for example. That's a more traditional method that adds texture and complexity to the wine.
It's like they're using these ancient techniques to create something modern and exciting.
Exactly. And then you have those who are incorporating cutting-edge technology, temperature-controlled stainless steel tanks, different oak regimes for aging. It's this willingness to experiment that's pushing the boundaries of Indian winemaking.
It sounds like there's a real sense of energy and innovation in Nashik's wine scene.
There is, and it's not just limited to the vineyards. This energy extends to events like Sula Fest, which is a testament to how Nashik is embracing the wine lifestyle.
You mentioned Sulafest earlier. It's more than just a wine festival, right?
It's an experience. Imagine a mix of Coachella vibes with local Indian culture. They have everything from music and art installations to incredible food stalls, all celebrating the spirit of Nashik. It's a chance to taste those incredible Shiraz wines we've been talking about and immerse yourself in the culture.
I'm starting to get serious FOMO here. Nashik is definitely moving up on my travel bucket list. But before we wrap up our deep dive, I want to touch on one more thing. We've talked about the wine, the culture, the history, but what about the future? What does the future hold for Nashik?
That's a question that a lot of people in the wine world are asking, and I think the answer is full of potential as wine consumers become more adventurous and open to trying new things. Nashik is perfectly positioned to capture the attention of the global market.
So it's not just about riding the coattails of more established wine regions. Nashik is forging its own path.
Exactly what's exciting is that Nashik isn't afraid to experiment, to innovate, to push the boundaries of what Indian wine can be. And I think that's what's going to make Nashik such a force to be reckoned with in the years to come.
It sounds like we've only just scratched the surface of what Nashik has to offer. We've explored the wine, the history, the culture,
Mhm.
but I have a feeling there's still so much more to discover.
There definitely is. Nashik is a region that rewards curiosity.
Well, you've definitely piqued our curiosity, but for now we need to take a quick pause. When we come back, we'll shift our focus to the broader implications of Nashik's rise in the global wine market. All right, we're back and ready to finish up our deep dive into Nashik.
Yeah, we've covered a lot of ground from the unique terroir and grape varietals to the blend of traditional and modern winemaking techniques.
And of course, we can't forget about Sulafest
Right.
and those incredible cave temples.
Absolutely. It's clear that Nashik has a lot to offer, both for wine lovers and curious travelers.
But now I want to kind of shift gears a bit
Okay.
and think about the bigger picture.
Okay.
What does Nashik's emergence on the global wine scene actually mean?
That's a great question and one that has a lot of layers.
Yeah.
On one level, it's about diversifying the world of wine.
Okay, I'm following you. So for a long time, certain regions have dominated the conversation. France, Italy, California.
Exactly. And while those regions will always hold a special place, I think there's a growing appetite for something new.
Right?
Consumers are becoming more adventurous, more open to exploring wines from different cultures and terroir.
And that's where Nashik comes in.
Exactly.
It's like a breath of fresh air,
Right.
offering wines that challenge our preconceptions and introduce us to new flavors.
Precisely. Nashik is producing wines that are undeniably high quality, but they also have this unique character that sets them apart. They're wines that tell a story of India's rich history, its vibrant culture, and its innovative spirit.
So it's not just about adding another bottle to the shelf.
Yeah.
It's about expanding our palates, challenging our assumptions, and appreciating the incredible diversity of the wine world.
I think that's at the heart of it, but there's also a deeper implication here, one that goes beyond individual preferences.
Okay, I'm intrigued. What are you thinking?
I think Nashik's rise represents a shift in the balance of power in the global wine market.
Interesting. So you're saying that as regions like Nashik gain recognition, they'll start to challenge the dominance of the more established wine regions.
It's certainly a possibility for centuries. The
Ye-
hierarchy of wine regions has remained relatively static, but now, with consumers seeking out new experiences and winemakers around the world pushing boundaries,
Yeah.
that hierarchy is starting to shift.
Like a whole new world of wine is opening up.
Yeah.
And Nashik is at the forefront of that movement.
I think so. And it's not just about competition.
Okay.
It's also about collaboration and inspiration.
What do you mean?
I think Nashik's success can inspire winemakers in other emerging regions around the world.
Ah,
It shows that it's possible to create world-class wines in unexpected places,
right.
and that there's a market for wines that are truly unique and authentic.
So it's like a ripple effect.
Yeah.
Nashik's success could pave the way for a whole new generation of winemakers to share their stories and their wines with the world.
Exactly, and that's something to be excited about.
Absolutely.
Mm.
So to bring it back to our listeners, what's the takeaway here? Why should they care about Nashik and its impact on the global wine market?
I think it comes down to this. Nashik represents a new frontier in the world of wine. It's a region that's producing exceptional wines, wines that are full of character and reflect a unique terroir. But it's also a region that's challenging the status quo, pushing the boundaries of what's possible, and inspiring a new wave of innovation in the wine industry.
It's a story that's still unfolding, but one that's definitely worth following.
I completely agree.
Well, I think we've covered a lot of ground today. We've explored the unique characteristics of Nashik's wines, the rich history and culture of the region, and the broader implications of its rise in the global wine market.
It's been a fascinating deep dive.
And I hope it's inspired our listeners to seek out some of these Nashik wines and experience them for themselves.
I think they'll be pleasantly surprised.
I have no doubt. So as we wrap up our deep dive, I want to leave our listeners with this thought. Keep an eye on Nashik. This is a region that's poised to make a major impact on the world of wine, and it's only just getting started.
Cheers to that.
Cheers. And that concludes our deep dive into the fascinating world of Nashik wine. Until next time, happy exploring.